Hello boys and girls, it's time for another Ask Guillem and lots of questions from you. Some of them hurt fans of Barcelona, hurt fans of Real Madrid as well, Newcastle question, etc. So let's get straight into it because some of the answers are not easy. Wired KTZ is saying, why is the core problem with Barcelona? Is it the manager, the noise around the dressing room, the injuries, or players that don't fit the system? As a Barca fan, am I expecting too much by thinking that we'll make a comeback in the league? The first thing to say is that when collapses like the one we've seen in Barcelona right now happens, it's not by chance, it's not one single cause. Collapse, I call the fact that there are gaps in the squad, but also it feels like it's very difficult to change the dynamic, which can happen because it's a very good team with very good players. But generally, the impression that the club is not, the foundations are not very strong. That's basically what I feel is happening at Barcelona, and that doesn't come by chance. It's been a lot of years of decisions that have brought the team to where it is. That is, with some players that are they are veterans. That's fine. You can deal with that. You have to mix it with youth and energy. They're trying to do that. Still a big gap between those youngsters and the veterans. And I feel that perhaps there are some, as we've seen, some of the veterans that have left. Maybe there is few still in the squad that just doesn't have that urge to win that used to be in the past. There is not a clear idea of what kind of football is being asked to be played. I think that also has to do between, it tends to be a balance between what the manager wants and the players want, but I still feel there is a big gap there. So unless everybody's on the same boat, and there's so many examples this season of teams where the club, the manager, the players are thinking exactly the same thing, from Real Sociedad and Atletico Madrid being the perfect examples of that. At Barcelona, you don't get that. There is also a financial situation that everybody starting to be aware of, which some point out at the debt of over 800 million euros, 800, which means that they cannot go into the market and get what they want. Koeman is not asking for a lot. Eric Garcia of Manchester City, Depay of Lyon, that's it. That would require about 30 million euros, but that money is not there. In fact, the negotiations with the players in terms of reducing the wages about 190 million euros is not close to be defined yet. All that means that every single step taken by the club right now, without a clear leadership, of course, as we're waiting for the elections, every single step, it's a step of confusion. It's not just that there is a system in which the players don't fit or suit them. It is not just the injuries. It's just generally a team stroke club that hasn't got strong foundations right now. And obviously, by bringing a new chairman and forcing the last board out, it's the first step towards getting a stronger situation. Who will win the elections is difficult to predict, but you have to say there are two favourites. Victor Font, on one way, it's the how can I put it? Is the businessman who comes to Barcelona with the idea of making everything very professional, very modern, with the possibility of bringing money in different ways, so Barcelona can still compete, mixing the youngsters of La Masia and some of the best players in the world, and he says he's got ways of doing all that. And the other one is Jan Laporta, who will probably may join forces with some other candidates, but in any case, he's got enough strength on his own to actually become the chairman. And he's getting the help of important people in football, both Catalan and abroad, to actually get the finances together for him and his board to actually be able to present as a candidate. I mean, remember that whoever wins the elections will have to give a guarantee of 15% of the budget. If the budget was 1,000 million or 1 billion, well, it have to be 15% of that. Now it's been reduced, the budget, to 700 million or something, 750, which means that the 15% is smaller, but still a huge amount of money. Well, they have to say, yeah, we've got that money in case it's necessary, in case we do things so badly that you need to take from us. Well, we have that money. He's got to prove that, and he thinks he's going to be able to do so, and may present himself as a candidate, as an official candidate, at the end of November. Those two are different ways of, they've got things in common. Obviously, they appreciate La Masia, they appreciate the fact that the club needs to bring money, and they have to be creative about it, and they want to bring some of the best players and best coaches. Both of them, I think, will have Xavi Hernandez as a manager, or at least a general manager, somebody that takes the football decisions. That, by the way, will be one of the ways to keep Messi, because both of them want to keep Messi in the team as well. Those are the two candidates. Let me tell you, before I go to the next Barcelona question, what I think is, for me, the dichotomy of Barcelona right now. Right now, because of the debt, because of the money that's coming in, because of the expenses, the costs of things at the club, the percentage of the money that comes in that goes into wages for the first team, all that means that right now Barcelona cannot go out and try to get the best players in the world, say Mbappe, for instance. They cannot do that. And they cannot compete in the market with some of the biggest clubs in the world, the PSG, Manchester City, in terms of finances. And to me, that means two things. That means you can go two ways. One, you can go La Masia, and you can get some very good players to join La Masia and make the team strong, but it wouldn't be competing for all the titles, for the Champions League, certainly. They will lose competitiveness, but they will keep the identity. That's, of course, the favorite proposition by every single candidate in the elections. But I think it's a miracle to actually do all that and be competitive, be the best team in Spain, be the best team in Europe. I don't see that. I understand why they're promising it. I don't see how that can happen because of the finances and the difficulty of actually make the team, the club, raise enough money for all that. Or you bring money in different ways, either by selling parts of the club or creating companies related to the club that they can sell on, or just made it a limited society, which I know is heresy when you talk to Barcelona fans and candidates and everybody who's around the club. They don't want to hear about that. I mentioned it in a Catalan television last week, and you create havoc. How do you dare to say that? But if you actually want to be competitive at the highest level, you need the biggest amount of money possible, and basically to do that and reduce the cost accordingly as well, a little bit too, you need to bring a lot of money in. People are saying, yeah, but the budget last season was €1 billion, 1,000 million euros, as we would say. And I would say yes, but because you had to pay that, all that money went. So you cannot build anything through it. To build something with the amount of costs that you've got, you actually require 50% more. And how are you going to do that? Very, very difficult. The problem of bringing money from the outside, of course, is that Barcelona will lose identity, because it will be down to those that put the money, what decisions they make, how the club, what kind of club it becomes. I understand the majority wants still to be owned by season ticket holders. If that happens, I think it slows the evolution of the club. And I'm not saying the evolution has to be towards limited society, but big decisions have to be taken. And I don't know how to do them, otherwise I'll be a candidate to the elections. But big decisions will have to be taken to actually survive the level of competitiveness that you've got. Basically, it's all about money, in my eyes, and how much money you can bring. Or you stay with the identity, compete a little bit less, but at least you will have your own kids that have come through La Masia, in the first team. Which one do you prefer? Now, JT, the real one, he says, do you think with the current economic climate at Football Club Barcelona, the club needs to refocus their energy on La Masia and instill the same trust they had in the likes of Xavi, Iniesta? Or is there a fear that this will debilitate them against the commercial continental rivals? But actually, I should have put that question before I answer all that long answer about what I feel the problem of Barcelona is. But when people say about La Masia, they say Xavi, Iniesta, Messi. Yeah, right, okay. That's only happened once in the history of Barcelona. That's not the usual. And to be able to bring players from La Masia, they have to be good. But to actually get together the generation that they got with Busquets and Pedro and Piqué and Valdés and Puyol, that's only happened once. It's a good dream. It's a good dream to pursue. If I was a Barcelona fan, perhaps that's what I would like. But that doesn't give you enough. I guarantee you, I know this, to compete for the biggest trophies. Why do I know this? Because look at the players that have come through La Masia and where they are now. They're not at the biggest clubs, are they? They're not the most important players in bigger clubs. They're not. So it's a choice to be made. Aho School says, is it a coincidence that Pep's Manchester City and Barcelona are facing difficulties at the same time, or is it that there is a big shift in football that has left them behind? I'm not sure I agree with that way of thinking about things. But certainly success has got another side to it, which is you go down before going up again. You cannot maintain the level of success for a long time. Barcelona did it for a long, long time, but they did not evolve. They wanted to reproduce the same idea, and the same idea, yes, has been overtaken by other ways of understanding football that have to do with pace, with physicality, with intensity. All that has been missed at Barcelona. They can recover it and still become a team, a recognizable team, and win. But who's going to do that and how they're going to do it? The dream is that Xavi Hernandez can do that. We will see. But that's the problem related also to who they can bring in terms of players because of the lack of money. City, on the other hand, they were winning until about a year and a half ago, big time. But the fact that Pep Guardiola demands so much of the players means that right now they need a complete recycle. I've done an article for the BBC explaining that they still want Messi, and we'll touch on that, Manchester City, but also that they need to change, and almost everyone is for sale apart from names that you will obviously can think of, like Ederson, Kevin De Bruyne, Sterling. I mean, there are more, but out of the old guard, they will accept offers. They won't kick them out or anything like that. They will accept offers. This is an analysis that has been made straight away, because you see that there is less intensity in the way they pressure, in the way they attack the spaces. All that needs a recycle, and that's going to happen. With Messi, talk more on that a little bit later. Will he or will he not join City? Well, there you are. We talk about now. Ibrahim Malcolm says, now that Guardiola has signed a new contract. Obviously, Messi ranked Pep Guardiola in the summer. That's according to Pep Guardiola's side of the story, but it is what happened. And they spoke for 4 hours about what would it mean for Messi to actually join Manchester City. And Messi, in the middle of tears and hugs and in his family, decided that yes, it was time to move on. Not necessarily to Manchester City, but it obviously was the club that was more interested in him. I'm saying not necessarily because remember that PSG tried it. They were in contact with Messi's dad. You've got Inter Milan, Juventus that wanted to put together Ronaldo and Messi and trying to look the finances for it, while at the same time, this is interesting, they will accept offers for Cristiano Ronaldo. So if Cristiano Ronaldo, anybody had come with the right amount of money, they would have considered that because they are in desperate need of money. But obviously the possibility of having them both together meant that if that was a real possibility, they will shift their priorities and make sure that the finances were there. They could not find the finances anyway, but they tried, they thought about it. Chelsea definitely in the equation if Messi becomes available. All that is true. Now, would City try again? Yes, they would. Obviously, there is no transfer fee attached to it now. They will be willing to pay the 25 million euros or pounds plus net that they'll have to pay for him, much more than that. This is just a minimum requirement, I think. And in those 4-hour conversations, I imagine they spoke about what will happen if he plays for Manchester City. I know Pep Guardiola has said that if, as a fan of Barcelona, he would like him to stay at Barcelona. But as a manager of Manchester City, you're talking of a different proposition. With a renewal of the squad, with more energy being brought into the squad, you've got the possibility of actually using him. Perhaps not next to Kun Agüero, because they're not the best ones at pressuring the opposition, of course. But with him in the side, there will be adjustments to be made. But I'm pretty sure that they thought of what that means, and they've got weapons to convince Messi to come to Manchester City. And one of them was, look, Pep Guardiola is staying. Something that perhaps he couldn't say before, but from the moment he decided that was the case, because of his relationship to Khaldun, but because he's also surrounded by friends and he's happy in the club, and you wouldn't find a better club for him than Manchester City. All that plays in the favour of Messi. But PSG, remember that Mbappe's contract finishes in 2022, and Real Madrid will definitely try in the summer, next summer, to get Mbappe. They think they can get him, personal details more than sorted, but in terms of what happens with PSG, there will have to be a negotiation and a payment, unless they want to wait for the end of his contract. But the plan is to try it in the summer. Well, if that happens and Mbappe goes and leaves very clear to PSG that he doesn't want to renew his contract, then there's a gap there, a big gap, and Neymar will stay at Barcelona too. So with the elections, you're going to hear at Barcelona, you're going to hear names being mentioned, that could be linked to the candidates. Maybe Laporta will like Neymar to come in. Maybe Victor Font will think of other big players to come in. The lack of money suggests that that's very, very unlikely anyway. So with the gap of Mbappe, it could be filled by Messi. And remember, Chelsea will insist that they want to hear everything that's going on, and if they had the money, they will want to be involved too. Remember, no transfer fee. Ninad Kulkarni says, with Messi's deep in form, is it due to the adverse situation at the club or just age catching up? Basically, and with that we finish Barcelona for now. Basically what I'm seeing is a guy that's motivated, lacking in motivation. Somebody that wanted to go, hasn't been able to go, and instead he's got to stay in with a team that is in a work in progress, but one that doesn't seem to be taking off right now. Mine plays such a big part in everything you do in life. I don't see him thinking, I'm going to win a lot of things with Barcelona and I'm going to just push them, and I can sense the energy from the young players. There's none of that, is there? There's a big hole, a big black hole, Barcelona right now. And I think Messi's trying not to fall into that. Gav39908512 says, Real, what's happening at the club? Genuine question, not sarcasm. Not seen a big name signing for considerable time, say for Hazard. Big name, by the way. Aging squad, 5 managers in 4 years, and you're absolutely right. And it's again a situation down to finances. Real Madrid, who were the first ones to create this Galactico era idea of getting players that are almost as big as their clubs, and made them big as well, and joined few of them, that it's impossible to do right now because they cannot compete with the finances of PSG and Manchester City mostly, but Manchester United as well, the Premier League clubs, the big rich clubs of the Premier League. All that is impossible. So they went to the alternative for them, which was to get youngsters. We talked about this a lot. With Rodrigo and Vinicius, it's hoped that they can become the 50-60 million euros that they've spent in them, that they can become those kind of players at that value. And all that is a risk strategy, because it can happen like it's happening now with, as you say, with an aging squad, and with Zidane at the moment being unable to actually lift the level. So you are finding a Barcelona and Real Madrid that are struggling. That means it's an opportunity for Atletico Madrid to win the league. Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. I know Atletico Madrid plays at being the poor kid that still, you shouldn't ask them to win the league. Yes, you should, because actually they're not that poor, and even though they've been affected by COVID too, and the finances are in dire straits a little bit, they've got a very good squad, and you should demand of them to actually do a big effort this season and try to win it. For one of the non-Madrid or Barcelona teams to actually win it, you need both of them, the big giants, to be struggling, and this is the year, isn't it? Maybe one more, and that will be perhaps the one from Newcastle. That's it. It's Sean Cavans who says, Rafa is known for honouring contracts, but if the NUFC takeover eventually happens, do you see Rafa returning? I'd say he would like to come to the Premier League, no doubt about that. He's doing a good job in China, no doubt about that. In terms of the infrastructure, the global picture of the club, if you like, he cannot compete because he cannot get the best Chinese players. There are 2 or 3 other clubs that do that. But meanwhile, he's helping improve the facilities, the system of developing players, and making the best out of what he has. He would love to come to the Premier League. And my answer will be yes. If the takeover takes place and they still, if it's the same people taking over the club and still want him, he will say yes to the possibility of going back to Newcastle, because there is a little bit of an unfinished business there. All right, that was it. There'll be more next week. Remember, of course, that the Pure Football podcast is coming back soon with a little bit of a surprise. We're doing something different. See what you think. And for me, I'm going to travel to Paris and Milan for the Champions League for CBS. There'll be a couple of pieces in the BBC webpage, one already out on Pep Guardiola, Manchester City and Messi, and one on Pedri of Barcelona. Plus, the work in La Liga TV continues. I've done last week a couple of Talking Football. Talking Football is the show that we do, the hour-long show of conversations with fascinating people, big names in football. I did one with David Silva and one with Andoni Zubizarreta, the former goalkeeper of Athletic Club, Barcelona and Valencia, who has played more than anybody else in La Liga. That will be out very soon, but I'll keep you posted on that. And subscribe. There'll be more in this YouTube page very soon. See you later. Bye.